Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Today I am on day number 3 of something new, and this is really turning into something very, very interesting, very fascinating. Um, basically, last night when I went to sleep, I know I dreamt because I woke up after I dreamt and I couldn't remember anything. But it seemed as though the dream was very significant, but yet I couldn't remember any of it. So basically, what I did was I just said, okay, I'm just going to go back into the dream journal. And I ended up finding a dream in this journal. I'm just going by the days. I have probably about 20 dreams or so written down here in this journal. Some are very short, some are very small. It just depends on, how much I am remembering or how much I'm writing. So the dream that I am outlining today is called the license tag, and it is a dream that I had 2 years ago. And it's kind of strange because the whole dream itself is just kind of weird. It's like symbols and symbolism and stuff like that. And so we're trying to go through these symbols and trying to figure out what they mean and everything. So at any rate, I'm going to pull a card first and then I will delve into the dream. So I'm using the Oracle of Mystical Moments. Again, I call these my dream cards because they are very much like, their images are very much like what happens in dreams or what you see in dreams. And I just am going to give these a good mix and see what comes up. Okay. And what I got here is touch the sky. She's got very long hair. This is the, I think it's kind of interesting that this card comes up in that she is kind of in a dream state as is. And this is about dreams. So, which is, I guess, why I call these my dream cards, because these are like very much like dreams. They have like very images of dreams. So this is the card for today. Oops. And I'm going to put it aside and I'm going to go ahead and read the meditation like I do. And then we can figure this out. Maybe as we read through it, we can figure out what it means. So this is day 3. It's May 6, 2025. And I call this the license tag. And I said, hello all. I am here today with a new dream. I have to say, last night I felt that I was going to be something new, but it was not. Instead, it feels as though I'm using this one in connection to the previous dream. And Nigel says, this happens for a reason. You are meant to move along with the dream journal. When something new comes along, then you will continue with it. I said, okay. So this dream I called loosely the license tag. It's a bit shorter than the other dreams, dated November 11th, 2023. I said, so in it, I'm walking around town and I encountered 3 people. They appeared Chinese, had dark hair, even features, and small eyes. They looked like a nice group of people, but instead of walking, they had stopped. Between them, a bicycle was placed, and this had a small, strange-looking tag on the back of it. When they continued to walk, all the while pushing the bicycle, I stopped them and asked them, is this a real license tag? To which they responded with, yes. The tag itself was green, almost white in color, so it was light, like this color on the box here. It was shaped in the same rectangular shape as the tags in the US, but not long as the ones in Europe are. Other than the shape, it looked like nothing I had ever seen before. It had what looked to be Chinese writing on the upper left-hand corner. In the middle were 2 to 3 letters and numbers or symbols. The 2 identified numbers or letters were like B, the letter B, and the number 4. The center was a form that looked like the state of Texas. It was situated directly between the letter B and the number 4. So B and then Texas and then 4. Okay. Across the top of the tag, I could see the word Deventer, D-E, and then W-I-N-T-E-R. It was all one word squished together. I asked if this was a place, to which they said yes. And then I woke up. Nigel says, you have no idea what that means. I said, none. It seems like there are untold ideas as to why the people I thought were to be Chinese, or the writing was actually Chinese writing. I had once been told that there is a way to distinguish Chinese writing from Japanese writing, in that Japanese is more blocked in appearance, but I could read neither. Why did it say Devinter? I don't think that is actually a word, at least not in English. Metatron says, the idea of meeting people from China is not the same notion as you might be thinking. Have you thought of the possibility that maybe you were in an unfamiliar place and not them? The fact that you said it was the tag was written in Chinese and then noticed that the word at the top was Devinter is striking. And I said, in what way? And Metatron says, well, think about it. You were meeting these people with a bicycle. You said they looked Chinese, and the tag was also in Chinese. It is possible that you were the one in the strange place, not the other way around. You were walking around town, but you did not say what town specifically. I said, it looked like near the bus stop down the street from where I live. I could see the small shopping center across the street. I sort of figured that was where I was. And Metatron says, is it not possible for there to be a sort of neighborhood in your town that is similar to one that might be found in, say, China? The reality of it is that you were in a place and interacting with three people who on the surface looked differently than you. They had a bicycle with a license tag on it. In some places, bicycles are required by law to have license tags. I said, yes, that's why I asked him about the tag. And Metatron says, the dream aligns with the goat cart in a mythical way. You were pushing a bicycle, like three people in your dream were also pushing a bicycle. How do you think that they could line up? I said maybe that they were both modes of transport. In the goat cart, I'm pushing the bike. I never explained why I wasn't riding it. In the dream, I see three people with a bike, and they are pushing it. But there are three people. They probably did not want to be separated from one another, whereas I was alone. Metatron says 3. But the whole concept is not about the numbers of people, but rather about the idea that the bicycles in both dreams were functional. The choices that were made to not ride them appears to be at the front of things. You were willing to walk instead of ride. The three people were doing the same. Both dreams happened within a week of each other. So the message is not about why the people were pushing the bicycle, but rather the fact that the bike, which otherwise was in full working order, was being pushed in the first place. You did not realize that you could have ridden the bicycle throughout the dream involving the goat cart, and they were not riding the bicycle. Why do you think that is significant? I said the three people seemed to be friends, so whoever was riding the bike got off and walked alongside their friends. Metatron says, okay, but you were alone. What made you not want to get off on your bike and ride home? You are at a point there where the reason could possibly be the answer to why both of these dreams happened in the first place. You know that walking alongside a bicycle tends to imply that something is not right with it, either with the bicycle or with you. You were not injured in the dream. You were not injured or hurt in any way, yet you were walking alongside a fully functional bicycle. The three people you encountered in the second dream were not contending with a broken bicycle. They were in conversation with one another, which better explains why they were not on the bicycle in the first place. So why do you suppose you were walking beside your bicycle if the bicycle was not broken? I said, I don't know. I honestly thought that the dream was about the license tag, not the fact that I was not on my bicycle. And Sunshine says, sometimes the most logical answers are right in front of you. You said that it was dusk when you reached the station. So does that factor in? And I said, aside from hating to ride the bicycle in the dark, but it wasn't dark. And Sunshine says, would you have had to turn on your light? I said, probably it is the law here. And Metatron says, the law. So you touched on it. You said that in the dream with the three people that there was a law in their home where a license tag was required. for a bicycle. Then you said that a light was required where you live. So could it be that you were not on the bicycle because you were afraid of getting on the bicycle in the dark or turning on the light? Why would you be unwilling to turn on your light? I said, well, it makes it harder to pedal with the light on, because pedaling would enact the light. So by pedaling it, the light shines brighter the more you pedal. So that has an impact on it. Metatron says, so you were physically saying, I don't want to turn on the light because it is harder to pedal. The three people are talking to one another, which is the reason for them not riding the bicycle. Both of these are external perceptions. You have a reason for not using the bicycle, as do they. Okay, so what is it about using the bicycle at night that you don't like? And I said, feeling small. When I use a bicycle at night, I feel like I am a small bug in a real world. I can't really explain it, but it just feels like I'm not fully seen. It isn't that I'm terrified of not outright, but there is this small element of, I don't like this. Could that be the net rationale for my pushing the bicycle and then seeing the three people who were chatting with a bicycle between them? There is a rational reason to stop pedaling and an irrational reason. Metatron says, it seems logical conclusion. Do you believe that you're not wanting to ride a bicycle at night is irrational? I said, maybe, but I find myself preferring to walk, even if it is slower. Ramon says, the fact that you prefer to walk is perhaps the best rationale for your having walked. It does not mean that you are irrational for not wanting to ride, but that perhaps you can enjoy the things around you when you do slow down. Even when you are professing to be in a hurry, you opt to taking things slowly, as opposed to contending with questions of what if that may fill your mind. I said, okay, so what about that tag that was in the back of their bicycle? What does the Deventer mean, and why was the image of Texas on it? Metatron says, Texas is a place where you were originally from. You have seen the letter B and the number 4. Before, when you lived in Texas, when did you move to Germany? I said, November 1st, 1995. Metatron says, okay, when you left for Germany, it was before winter, when the first snowfall would blanket the country. You were seeing an image of your own past as seen in that way. B and 4 are often used as shorthand for before. The image of Texas is self-explanatory. You were in Texas before moving to Germany. I said, okay, that makes sense, but what is Deventer? I don't think it's even a place. Metatron says it's a state of mind. The D could possibly be code for something. The idea of moving to a new place before winter could have been what was implied there. However, I would be willing to say that all of this is your making a determination about making a big step before winter comes. The idea of preparation for a big step is perhaps the idea. Animals and people tend to do massive preparations before a big change comes. Again, you see the image of Texas, a place where you used to live. The whole concept affirms the idea that you are in a state of change and that like the people who pass in and out of your life, the stories with it will also change. Keep in mind, you had the dream on November 11th, a remembrance day in the calendar of the year. You saw in 2023 a foretelling of your perceptions of your life before you left America and that they were going to change dramatically. All of the images have become a sort of conceptual idea that implies that your physical state would change, as would your ideals about where you came from. Yesterday, you told someone who you view as energetically positive that you had immigrated from the U.S. Later, you asked yourself why you even mentioned it. The answer is you reaffirmed that your thoughts and emotions about where you used to live have changed since you had that dream. In essence, that dream foreshadowed the feelings that you would have about the world as a whole. The Chinese people you met in your dream could very well symbolize the role of China in an ever-changing world. The fact that you are changing your views about where you come from are symbolic when, say, seeing the license plate with the word B and 4, or a B and the number 4, or the word before. All of these components are significant in the evolution of your world and the fact that these changes are coming. That dream was a foreshadowing to not only your inner world, but also the external world. I said, I never thought that this dream could be so empowering. And Metatron says, the notion of the symbols that you recall are what makes the dream so profound. The question of whether or not you look at your fears in relation to it is where the meaning of both dreams lie. Do you face the world in fear, curiosity, or acceptance? That is the main component of the dream about the strange meeting, as well as your reluctance to ride your bicycle into the night. All of this is about how willing you are to face your fears and where you will go once you do. I said, thank you. This really gives me something to consider. And Metatron says, we will dive deeper tomorrow. There is still a good deal for us to discuss. And that's where we ended. So, touch the sky. Where does that coincide with the dream? Well, maybe it's more internal than we think. That all the things that happened in the dream are internal perceptions, ideas, and, dare I say, challenges about what is going on in the external world. Maybe through finding my inner harmony, then I can touch the sky. I can find the this sense that something bigger is happening, not just in my life, but in the lives of so many other people. Still a mystery as to why this card came up, but we'll take it. So with that, I thank you very much for being here. Thank you for listening and for letting me ramble on about this strange dream that I had. But it really does make a lot of sense now that I have spoken with Metatron about it. It is kind of weird that I am mentioning this, and the fact that the bicycles seem to come up in the dreams more often than not. I think the shift from the library to the goat cart to the bicycles, it's just a matter of time before I figure out what all of this is actually about. But thank you very much for watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing, and I look forward to the next one. Take care, and as always, namaste.